As a 14-year-old who's growing up right now, I can say I totally do that thing with Siri where I like only text my friends with like the voice thing, but I never do it drunk, so I have notes on my hand and that's cheating, but I'm a planner. But for this I didn't really get to plan because I didn't know I was going to do this until like 45 minutes before now, because I didn't know if they would let a 14-year-old in a bar. But even though I'm a planner, I'm not very good at deadlines. I have like OCD and I'm kind of a perfectionist and I'm really good at procrastinating. But since I'm 14, I have to go to school and I have to meet deadlines all the time. I go to this like progressive alternative school, you know, like get the kids in the democratic process, whatever. And so part of that is like having kids learn about things that they want to learn about. So one of the things we do is we do these research projects, these really big research projects on whatever you want to do. And then you have to make a PowerPoint presentation. And then it's really hard to present to a crowd of really bored 7th and 8th graders. So while some people like presenting, very few like listening to projects. But my second project in 7th grade, I decided I was going to work really hard. I chose the topic innovation, and I wanted it to be like inspiring to my peers. And I like isolated myself. I used that OCD spirit for a certain kind of person, very easily to relate to. And it worked. People listened to me, and I could tell by the questions they asked at the end. People who I saw as kind of like a little bit dumb, not caring, they asked me questions. Sorry, that's pretentious. I think a 14-year-old using the word pretentious is pretentious, but whatever. They asked me questions on like what I thought 3D, mainstreamizing of 3D printing would do like normal society, and I don't know. But I did other presentations like this, and I kind of built up a reputation. People kept listening to me. I built up a reputation, and it was a reputation I liked. I was the smart one. If you have a question, a problem about math you can't solve, ask Anisa. If you are having an argument about the definition of communism, ask Anisa. And I'm not very good at math, but I'm very good at Googling things. And I really like being the center of attention, so this worked. But the presentations, it's hard to create something good, create good content. And so it started to kind of consume my life. When I was working on one of these things, I would work really, really hard and kind of isolate myself. I've always been a kind of a social person, so it was kind of hard to not do social things. It was a problem that none of my peers had, like that working too hard, and no one knew how to help me with. But I kept going, and pretty soon it was time to pick a topic for my biggest end of the graduating junior high presentation thing, and it was going to be perfect. It was going to be so perfect. I had way more time than I normally do. I chose the topic of the importance of storytelling. And I was going to cover everything, but it was going to be condensed, it was going to be beautiful, and I worked really, really hard. And I decided to go very last of anyone on the very last day of school, right before we went on a middle school picnic to the park. And I just had this moment in my mind where everyone would be inspired to go, and then we would go to the park and people would engage with me, and people I normally didn't talk to would engage with me in intellectual discussions, and then they would tell me about their problems and existential crises, because I can't pronounce that word, because that's what happened before, is they told me about their problems because for some reason they thought I could help them. I had proven myself, I guess, and in some instances I was able to help them. But then something happened that I couldn't have planned for. 20 minutes before I was supposed to go on, I lost my whole PowerPoint, and I lost all the notes too, because I'm a stupid 14-year-old and I didn't back it up on like Drive or Cloud or any of the new technologies that I'm supposed to be able to use. So they were like, we're postponing, yours are really good, so we want yours to be really good. So we went to the Apple store, we tried to figure it out. My mom drove me everywhere and we tried to figure out, no one could figure out. I just had to improv it. But by that time, everyone was at the park. And so I had to do it at the park, and apparently everyone was already like really frustrated and annoyed because the hamburgers hadn't been ready. And we had a really chaotic morning where we had to clean out our lockers and everyone was sad. And so, and I didn't even profit, and everyone thought it was going to be really good because all my other ones were really good, and then it wasn't really good. And then at the very end I was very disappointed, and I was really sad, and we had like 15 minutes where we were still at the park, and I was really sad. And I was like, I don't cry. Like, I've seen our school is small, so it feels like kind of like a community, and I've seen like the 14-year-old boys who only ever talk about working out so you know that they work out. I've seen them break into tears in the middle of class, but I don't cry, not in front of people. I don't cry, and I didn't, but I almost did. And then my friend Carter tried to cheer me up, and then we went back to school, and my school, you can stay after school until 5 if you want to, just because hippies. And I said it, and I stayed and I talked to my friend Jeremiah, who all of my girlfriends say has a crush on me, but I try not to think about it. He's my 14-year-old and he's one of my best friends. And basically I was able to cheer myself up, and people talked to me in interesting ways anyway. And I realized I didn't have to bring that out of them. They could have that anyway. And I think the thing about deadlines is they're great because they make you do shit, but the most important things to learn happen at times that can't be planned. And one of the things I learned was to just be like, fuck it, I'm going up to the Moth and I'm going to tell a story, and I have confidence because sometimes things don't work out.